episode of Hop, Skip and a Jump. Today I'm joined by my wonderful best friend, assistant, manager, therapist and also customer, Louise. Say hi, Louise.
Hello.
So, you sound like you're under duress. She's a little bit under duress, but I thought that it'd be really good to start having pet parents on the podcast to talk about life living with a dog with chronic pain. So that's what we're going to talk about this. Nice and cheery. Sorry about that.
Daily life.
Daily life, because it is a daily thing, and it's something that I see. It's a big burden. It's a really big burden to carry, and it's a lot of responsibility on top of being a pet parent.
Yeah.
Being a pet parent to a dog that's in chronic pain comes with its own complexities. So let's start right back at the beginning. So if we were to kind of summarise Herschel's current diagnoses, where are we at? What are we working with?
So, with his head,
Yes.
he has a jaw locking issue.
Mhm.
There is no formal scientific name for it. So, in a nutshell, his jaw locks if he overchews or if it's cold or things like that. So that's a managed issue. There's no cure. He had an operation, it didn't work. And then he also has spondylosis and hip dysplasia.
Okay, so some biggies that we're dealing with
Just
there.
a few.
Just a few.
All in.
All of it. Love it. Live for it. So, before you came to Yorkshire Peaches Therapies,
Yeah.
what were your kind of red flags as to there's something not right with my dog? What did that first part of the journey look like for you?
Well, whenever I had adopted Herschel, he came to me 2 weeks post-op on his face. So he came to me with a shaven face, fresh wound. He was literally 2 weeks post-op. I'd had him back to the specialist within 2 months of having him because it started locking immediately. So there was always an element of him needing like Meloxate, NSAIDs and things like that because of the flare-up. However, it kind of got worse, I guess. I never actually thought that it was his back and his hips.
Mm-hmm.
I always thought it was connected to his face because it felt like it was his neck.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe just travelling down. I never expected the diagnosis that we got.
Mm-hmm.
So he kept yelping. He kept having episodes where he would just jump down off something like the sofa or the bed or something like that, and he would yelp and he would sit. And then he would walk a few steps and he would sit. So I'd actually taken a video of that to take to the vets because obviously, you know, adrenaline by the time he gets to a vet, he'll just trot in and everything will be fine. Nothing was formally diagnosed. You know, he had a feel. They let him rummage around. More NSAIDs were given and off he went. But it just kind of progressed. He became a little bit reactive towards strangers.
So you saw behavioural changes.
Yeah,
then?
the behaviour changes. Yeah. He didn't want to play with his little friend that we used to walk with every day, Rory, and they played. Like
I was going to say, little
hard.
friend. That dog is ginormous.
He was little at one point, but now he's a big lad now. Anybody who follows us on Instagram knows that Rory is a big Newfoundland cross with a St Bernard. So he's
only little.
He's only little
friend.
in age. But they used to play hard. They like, you know, big boy play. You know, like really growly, bitey, and it was sometimes that it got too much and they had to be separated. So he just stopped playing with them.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, it was sore. His back, you know, the yelping every now, the intermittent yelping wouldn't go away.
And was he on and off NSAIDs at this point, or was he like consistently on them?
No, it was on and off. It was whenever he would yelp and flare up. You know, as far as I was concerned, it was a flare up to do with his neck or something like that. I'd ring up. I'd get more if I needed more. Yeah. Sometimes we didn't get more. Sometimes I thought he'll be fine in a few days. I didn't. You know, you don't know.
You do the best you can with the information that you have at the time. And I always think when, you know, with customers that bring their dog to clinic, there's sometimes a lot of guilt that you didn't spot it sooner or you didn't realise the gravity of the situation sooner, but that's literally what we're here for. To give you that information so then we can fine tune those management plans, because this is all about management for Herschel and management of his chronic pain. So we had that journey. What was the next step for you to bring him to Yorkshire Pooches therapies? What was it that resonated with you, or at this point were you still thinking, I think it's just here, or?
I mean, at the point that I come to you, I actually thought it was in my head. I thought I was going mad.
Really?
I thought the vets are poking and prodding him, and he's letting them move his legs around like he's doing a cartwheel. I thought
swinging him around by his back legs.
Must be in my head. And then I'd seen somebody, I can't remember who now, but they'd shared a gait analysis that you'd done for them, and I searched like where you were based. Obviously, Yorkshire Pooch gives it away, but the address of your actual clinic, and it was only like an hour away, and I thought, well, okay, let's go.
It's worth a punt.
Let's go.
And then you did disclose earlier. You can disclose it on the podcast. It's fine. Go on.
Well, I mean, I messaged you on socials off the back of seeing this, and in my defence, you very clearly say on your website everything of things that you need to do. I had read that, but I still felt like I needed to offload. So I sent you a message probably about this long, and well, I don't blame you, but you pied it right off.
Yeah, I pied it right off.
Was like, no.
Do you know what?
That is just too much pain.
That is too. I don't want to. I hate Dalmatians. I don't hate Dalmatians. No, I am notoriously horrendous for replying to messages. Still am to this day.
It didn't put me off.
Thank God.
I just went and booked in, and we chose probably accidentally the hottest day of the year that year, so we didn't even get to do everything that we couldn't
do the gait analysis because it was too hot. So we did an assessment in clinic. Now I remember, I don't know if it was the very first time that I met Herschel, but he's a big boy. Like he's a very tall. Yeah.
And he was
stocky.
Fatter then as well.
He was over conditioned. We will come back to that conversation. So obviously consent-based treatment through and through. If the dog says no, we kind of step back, and then that's just how I work. And I remember you've been sat on the sofa, and Herschel was in front of you, and you were like feeding him treats, and I was just doing a very light assessment, and then he turned round and went absolutely ballistic, just barking. Yeah. But I didn't know him.
No.
Big dog.
Yeah.
I've just been palpating something that's painful, and he's going. So I remember just being on my knees, looking at the floor, thinking, today's the day I get bit. Today's the day I get bit. And then you went, do you want me to hold his collar? I went, yeah, please, if you don't mind. But I think when it's your dog, you know that he's not going to do anything.
It is,
I know. I mean, any dog has the potential. Any dog has the potential, especially when pain is involved. But like, I know Herschel. Like, he's fine. Like, I've been treating him now for however many years, and I'm like, yeah, he's fine. But in that moment, I was like,
I mean, you were face to face with him as well, and like you said, I think, from my naivety, I guess, is that you were just touching him, and I still don't know that he's painful. So it's kind of, I know that he'll bark at you, and that's all he's got in him. He just wants to tell you off. But in that, from your perspective,
I don't know that.
Don't know the dog. You touched him where it hurts. He's mouthing at your face.
You went,
and I'm
do you want me to hold his
just
collar?
sitting there
I'm like,
staring with a smile on my face, like,
this is all he'll do. This is all he'll do, and I'm like,
he's friendly.
So that was one of my first memories of Herschel, and then so he's been coming to see me now. Because can you remember what treatment program we put him on? Because he's on a maintenance dose now. Like fast forward, 3 years?
Oh, well, yeah, I think it's about. It must be about 2023, 22 or 23.
Yeah, so 2 or 3 years. So he's now on a maintenance dose with me, which is that about every 4
or 5 weeks?
4 or 5 weeks. And obviously we've had a lot change over that time period. So obviously when I first met Herschel, he was over condition. So I don't like the word. I hate it. I don't like it. So he was over condition. Now, when I see a dog for the first time, it's like I see him in pictures, and I see different body systems in pictures and stuff. So I'm like, right, okay. First thing that I'm concerned about is that I don't want to like absolutely blast your brain and go, he's really painful and he's over conditioned and I think he's got something wrong in his back. Like, that's absolutely completely unethical to do. It's got to be a very kind of, well, the way that I do it anyway is a bit more of a gradual approach.
Yeah.
So the first thing to address was what you came to see me for, and that, is he painful? In my opinion, yes, I do believe him to be painful. But part of the caveat of having that conversation is saying pain is anything from mild discomfort to pure agony. I use the word pain as an umbrella term. And also, I have to allow the pet parent to digest that, especially someone who's come to me who thinks that it's all in their head, and I go, actually, I don't think it is. I think you bang on the money, because there's a huge emotional kind of knockback from that. Are you all right? Yeah, you okay? Yeah. It's so I like to kind of, because at that point I absolutely thought we've got other problems here, but in that moment, in that first session, that wasn't the time to be saying that. I was like, we are painful.
Yeah. No, it's all right. No, it's nice, because as I said to you, it's a situation that you never want to be in.
Oh my god, no, I'm crying.
You never want to be told that your dog is painful. You don't want to experience your dog being painful. But to hear that you're not wrong, it's different. It's a relief, but it's horrible.
Horrible. Yeah, it's very, oh my god, no, I'm crying. Welcome to the podcast, we're all just going to sit and cry in a room, sorry. It's very bittersweet information, because you're like, I think, obviously you already knew there was something, to then be told something that maybe part of you was like, nah, I'm just making this
up. That denial is bittersweet.
Oh, you know what I mean? 100%.
Ignorance
100%.
is a blissful. Yeah.
And I feel the weight of that when I have these conversations, that I'm essentially pissing on your parade. You're paying for me to piss on your parade. But I have to kind of like reframe it in my head and go, right, okay, when I give you this information, again, remember, anything I say isn't gospel. It's not set in stone. It's my opinion as someone who specialises in pain management. And at that moment, I needed you to understand and feel heard as well, because a lot of people come to me and they don't feel heard, whether that's by other therapists or veterinary professionals, and that's not to slate them at all. We all have a different understanding and appreciation for pain and how it looks and how it manifests. For me, I've kind of found my niche with dogs with complex behavioural needs and pain mixed into it. So the first part of that conversation is, I believe you, and that's I feel that it's I'm trying to think.
It's validation, isn't it?
Yeah, 100%. And equally, if I don't think a dog is painful, that's a conversation that I'll have.
That's the answer that people want, really.
Realistically, that's the one that they want, but that's not what
really
you.
Case.
No.
By the time people come to you, it's the dog's in pain.
Yeah. And I think learning how to navigate those conversations, and again how to pitch them, is very important as well. Obviously I can have this conversation with you now because you're my best friend and we've got him in a good place, but it's I
think with Herschel he had a lot, so because of his jaw, I think from what I remember you were like, there's very much a lot of tension based on the fact that he wasn't
it was
able
carrying into his neck,
so to know what potentially else he had, you needed to unwind that first. So we basically started from head down. And then obviously we progressed on to the imagery.
So I can't remember how the next part of the journey went. So what was the so he started coming for, was he coming
he was coming weekly at one point, and then it went fortnightly, 3 weekly, and then 4 weekly.
And I always feel like a sleazy car salesman when I'm like, I need to see you every week.
I was happy to come, to be honest.
But realistically, I had this conversation the other day, if you come like once a month, yes, you can use me in that session to pick my brain and, we'll go over what you've got in place, and I understand that for some people that's all they can afford, manage, time-wise, whatever. If you're wanting the benefits of my brain and the hands-on work, we have to go regularly.
Yeah.
So I do weekly, and then we go, right, okay, we've really kind of unwound a lot of stuff that we're doing. I'm teaching you a little bit of homework every week. Let's stretch it to 2 weeks, see how we go. I've had some dogs, we've only been able to stretch in increments of half a week to get them to a place that they're comfortable not seeing me for 3 weeks or whatever. Yeah. So obviously we're doing these regular sessions now. What was the point that we or was it a suggestion that I made that we get some more, or get some imaging done, or
that we discussed it? Maybe it was on the cards, but he had an incident with his back again. He yelped that resulted in him being on further NSAIDs, and I asked for imagery. Okay. So it was another yelp.
It was another yelp, and that had you been seeing me for a little while at that point, and then
I think we were at the 4 weekly increments at that stage. Okay. We'd unwound, and he was fine, as in he was not outwardly displaying pain.
Yeah. Did you notice any changes? So I was going to say, notice any changes in behaviour. So when we'd got to that point where he was on a maintenance dose, the reactivity towards people had reduced. Yeah. We hadn't seen a yelping incident. No. But then obviously one occurred, and you were like,
let's do it.
Let's do it. So I forgot to talk about the overcondition bit. We didn't tackle that subject in your first session. He was overconditioned, and it's it's another emotive topic as well as pain, and I knew at that point that his weight will be impacting his pain levels. So you've got the pressure, the biomechanical pressure of additional weight going through the body. But then you've also got the biochemical pressure, which is adipose tissue, so fat tissue, also mimicking an inflammation response. So you're kind of getting it with, at both ends, for want of a better word. Yeah. So I remember having this conversation with you, and we can laugh about it now.
It was very delicate. It was to the point where I think it was barely there.
It was very delicate, because when I said I did have a conversation, no, you didn't. I was like, no, I do remember saying it was something to the effect of, I think Herschel's a bit overconditioned, and you said it was muscle.
He was muscly, yeah.
And I was like, no, he's not. And you were like, well, he plays with the Newfoundland Cross, so like he's just really muscly. And I was like,
he's just stacked, So I did start. I think at that point I had started like changing his food, and it wasn't until he'd actually lost weight and I looked back at pictures and I was like, that's not muscle, babes.
But again, if in that moment I'd have said to you and like kind of come in and gone, no, it's not muscle, you need to trust me, it's he's overweight, all that's going to do is you'll put a wall up.
Of course, you're defending your child.
You're going to defend your child, because people see it as a critique. Yeah. And then that critique...
It's such a sensitive subject as a human.
Yes.
So you carry that whenever it comes to a dog.
Yeah, like, how dare you tell me that my dog is
I adopted him.
Yeah.
He was trusted to me, and you're telling me.
Yeah. It's very...
It can be
touching. So I like to plant the seed and let people think about it. Yeah. And then now he's in fantastic condition, and has consistently been in fantastic condition for...
I think probably about a year and a half, maybe.
Yeah, he looks...
He's maintained.
Yeah, he looks fantastic. He's got that nice nip at the waist, tuck at the abdomen, and like...
And he is actually muscly now.
And he is actually muscly. He is actually muscly. But I think it's important that as therapists and other veterinary professionals, and even, other animal professionals, dog groomers, trainers, walkers,
Yeah.
we must be very mindful about how we have these conversations.
I think as well though, like that change, just that little change, and obviously coming to you to have a massage, was able to carry him up until the point that he had his yelp.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know what I mean? That was
Yeah.
what I felt. He wasn't displaying anything. He was back to normal, as it were.
Mm-hmm.
Was enough to maintain him
Mm-hmm.
until it wasn't. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So when he went for his images, he still had a bit to lose.
But it was a lot
But
better
it was
than
a lot
what he
thinner
was.
than what
Yeah,
he was. Yeah. So they were probably able to, you know,
manipulating as well. When a dog has less adipose tissue, less fat tissue, it means I can get to where I need to get to with more ease, less pressure. So went for the imaging.
Yes.
And we were actually together.
We were at
At
Crufts.
Crufts in our room
In our
hotel room.
Yeah.
with Ninny, and we're all kind of just in attendance. Did you have her on speaker?
Yeah.
And we're all like listening, and you responded differently to how I thought you would.
Yeah.
So obviously he got his diagnosis of hip dysplasia and spondylosis in one go.
Mhm.
And I was sat there like, brace. It obviously validated what I was thinking anyway. The imaging in my head very much matched what I was seeing, and that's not because I'm just really good at my job. Like, it's just sometimes
You know
I
what
get
you're
it.
feeling.
Yeah,
don't you?
I know what I'm feeling, and not that I can feel hip dysplasia before anyone comes at me, but you can,
the movement.
it was a whole accumulation of things that you're telling me, things that I'm seeing, things that I'm feeling. And I remember the vet said it, and you went, it was something to the effect of, yeah, we thought as much, yeah, okay, yeah, oh, thanks so much for your time, yeah, and it was like, there was no tears, there was no explosion, there was no panic, it was like this calmness and this stillness that unnerved me. And I was like, why are you not hysterical? Because I would be absolutely hysterical if that was my dog. Do you think it was shock? Like, how do you remember receiving that information?
I wasn't happy about it.
No.
I think
evidently,
I expected the hip dysplasia. I think the spondylosis took me by surprise.
Yeah.
And I think I went into a little bit of denial phase again, to be honest, because I was just like, no.
Nah.
I don't want him to have that, actually.
Yeah.
That's not on the list of things that I'd come to terms with.
Yeah.
So it was just a kind of, okay, thank you.
It was on it. I was like watching it unfold. Like, this isn't how I expected this to happen. But again, everyone takes it differently. So even though I work with hundreds of different dogs, all with varying different conditions and severity and whatever, I know that my Peggy at the moment isn't brilliant, and I'm gonna take her to a vet that I really trust to have some imaging done, which is likely going to tell me what I already know. I know that I will sob when I get that information. It doesn't matter how many times I watch other people go through it or seeing this. I know what's coming. And even I can't prepare for my own news about that.
I think, you know, because you've like kind of gone through, like he had his jaw issue, he's had yelping issues, he's had this, and I didn't know what spondylosis really was. It wasn't something that I'd googled. It wasn't something that
You'd read about, but I remember you reading quite extensively about hip dysplasia.
Yeah, so the hip dysplasia I was fine with, and spondylosis I didn't know how to react because I didn't really know what it was. So after I'd read it, and there's been tears.
Absolutely,
so it's more of an after reaction, I think.
It was like a delayed onset. I think you went into a bit of shock.
Yeah.
I think you went into a bit of shock, and it was like, how can I support you as my best mate in that situation, and not with my therapist hat on.
Yeah.
But I remember, because I wanted to cry, like, and I was like, don't make this about you, don't cry. But it's because obviously I love you to bits, and I love Herschel to bits. I love all the pet parents that come to me, and I love all the dogs to bits. But like, because you're my best mate, it was like, oh, it's really difficult.
It's different, doesn't it, when you know that dog?
Yeah.
On a, you know, on a professional level, you expect them to have these conditions, but you can also put that professional hat on. But when you're friends with somebody,
yeah, I can't put
that
it
dog's
on.
your dog.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
it's hard. But I think I possibly would have reacted differently if I'd have known more about the condition.
And I think as well with spondylosis, for example, I find that anything to do with the spine can sometimes have more catastrophic response because it's the spine.
Yeah.
You know, when actually, and that's not to minimise what Herschel's going through or anything like that, but there was still a lot that we could be doing to help manage this. So at this point, he was having his regular massage sessions.
Yeah.
He was having his Fatizo.
He was,
Bloody Fatizo.
So
he was having his Fatizo at home with you.
Yeah.
At that point, was he on GABA? So he wasn't on GABA at this point. So was it after that diagnosis that did we have a conversation about?
We spoke about it because you'd mentioned how gabapentin had helped other dogs that you knew. And it would possibly be something that we would need to explore. Whenever we went to get signed off from the vet said that it was mild, both spondylosis and hip dysplasia, and the specialists that had looked at the imagery didn't think that he would be experiencing pain.
Can you remember how I took that information? Because I just had a visceral...
Well, I remember my reaction to the vet because he was on paracetamol at that point.
Right.
She said that we could start weaning him off, and I said I wouldn't be doing that, and that he'd been presenting painfully for me to push for the images, so how could he not be in pain?
Yeah.
And she bless her, she was a newly qualified vet, she wasn't our normal vet, but she did try to push us to get removed from the paracetamol.
And I wonder what it'd be interesting to understand the thought process behind that, because the way that I look at a painful dog is completely different to how a vet looks at a painful dog for the most part. I mean, that's going to change between therapists and vets, and this isn't vet bashing at all, but from my experience, understanding of pain, there is not a set standard across the board. It fluctuates on opinion, and for me, the diagnosis of mild does not equate to a mild pain experience. No. The only being that decides how painful it is the dog.
Yeah.
Not us, not me, not you. The
exactly
dog.
That, and it's like what I might consider painful, you might think is just mild hindrance. This dog had lived with pain with his jaw. Yeah. So he had what I would say a higher tolerance of pain.
Yeah.
So for him to be displaying that, that's painful.
Very painful.
Don't ever tell. You know what I mean? No vet could tell me that. So I ignored that advice. I carried on with the paracetamol, and I think about maybe a month later, I then went back to the vet. Yeah. Our normal vet, and she went through all the options. Yeah. And she was one thing I will absolutely give her absolute credit for. She did explore. She said, we've got gabapentin, we've got this. There is Librela, however. I would only give that in a palliative care.
Yes, thank you very much.
So and I obviously had known about the Librela thing, with me and you talking about it and things like that. So I was happy that she wasn't trying to force that on me. So we started with gabapentin, and we've been on that dose since. Yeah.
So, massage, Fatizo, pain relief, but then we also brought the wonderful Carol on board.
We did. Yeah.
So when did we get to, my memory is absolutely shite. When did we bring her on? Why did we start talking about, because I love acupuncture. Acupuncture is a fantastic, underused modality in pain, especially with nerve pain. Even, say for example, he just had hip dysplasia, that's not to minimise it, but like just the one condition actually, you're never just going to have musculoskeletal pain. There's always going to be an element of nerve pain there. Yeah. And obviously we'd made really good progress with his massage, a lot of myofascial work, because we found that the fascia in his withers and it was linked to his fascia up here, and like we'd start doing stuff right down here, and his face would start reacting. Like it was really interesting. But obviously that's something that he.
That's a podcast for another day.
That's a podcast for another day talking about fascia. But you found Carol.
I did, yeah. So she's actually local to where I live.
Yeah.
And I can't even remember how I found her, and I joked with you and said that we didn't need you anymore.
Bitch.
Found somebody better. She's a vet.
She's a vet, so I'm going to go to her instead.
And to be honest with you, there was no situation or anything that had happened that made me think that he needed something extra.
Because we hadn't had a yelping incident for...
We'd stabilised in respect of he wasn't yelping, he was walking fine, he wasn't playing as much anymore, but Rory had got older and he was probably painful with his size, so he probably wasn't interested.
Yeah.
It's fine. I think I've reached out to Carol and I explained everything that had been going on, and I was just like, do we think this is something extra? Because the way, I don't know if this is the right or wrong way to think about it, I would be happy to throw absolutely any therapy at Herschel to make him stable, comfortable, live longer, but I don't want to give him them all,
because then
and then they all
what's
stop working.
Yeah.
You know, so if it was something that you gradually introduce and, you know, it becomes something that's stable and it just maintains it, and I think that was like, for me, it was just a natural progression of, I'm covered on insurance, so I'm going to utilise that, even if it means my premiums go up. They will go up anyway because he's on medication.
And I think as well, with the natural progression of the diseases that he's working with, the management that worked 3 years ago isn't going to cut the mustard. Yeah. So we add in those
that's it,
those layers, and there's still as well more layers of medication to explore.
I mean, as well as like, you know, physiohydra and things like that, and I'll never discount those out. But that's something that when that's I think that they no longer are working, I'll add it on. Yeah. So that's my thought process behind it.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I reached out to Carol. She came. We did the same thing that we did with you. So she came weekly. He didn't bark in her face.
Of course he didn't. Thanks Herschel. Scared the shit out of me.
And then so we're now every 4 weeks with Carol.
Nice.
As well. So
as well, I felt a difference.
Yes, you did. Yeah.
With his fascia, when I think he had a few sessions under his belt, and it's so difficult. It's not something that I can write down in like note format. It's how the dog feels under my hands, and I was like, whoa, what's changed here? His skin and fascia was so much more hydrated. I mean, this boy has his food flooded because he's Dalmatian and nutrition stuff. That's another podcast. But he was already a well hydrated boy. Yeah. But having the acupuncture, I could feel the difference. Yeah. Like, I could get to areas that I wanted to work on a lot quicker. He was a lot more pliable. I mean, he was pliable before, but he was even more pliable. It was like his body had gone... Yeah. And taken kind of that deep breath and taken off that superficial kind of layer of stress. And I could really feel the difference there.
So Carol could as well.
Could she vice versa as well? That's awesome. Carol's such a sweetheart as well, so knowledgeable. And I'm like, for me, when I'm talking to people about, you know, like therapies and stuff like that, the gold standard for me is if we can get two. If we can get two different therapies on board, chef's kiss. And that could be massage and chiropractic, or that could be massage and acupuncture. Actually, it could be acupuncture and hydrotherapy. It's going to look different for every dog and for every dog's pain journey. So where are we at now with Herschel?
So he has gabapentin 3 times a day. 6 a.m, 2 p.m. and 10 p.m. That alarm goes off, and he is ready for his baby bell.
He's ready for his baby bell.
And he has paracetamol twice a day. And then during flare-ups, he still then has the NSAIDs, but they are few and far between.
So when he has a flare up, this is
It's more jaw than it is anything else.
yeah, more jaw than anything else, which is obviously it's shit that he's still having flare-ups. But have you? I've noticed a decrease in the frequency of flare-ups.
Yeah.
Have you found anything like, so say someone's listening to this podcast now and they're like, what have you weirdly found to be an indicator that he's going to have a flare-up?
Weather's
a big one.
Weather's a very big one. We introduced snoods last year.
Yeah.
Where he didn't have those before, so that's helped.
Fashionista.
So he's 50 Shades of Blue when he's got his jumper and his harness on. They're all different shades of blue because they don't match at all. So the snoods really help. Just keep the neck warm.
Keeps just the breeze.
Yeah.
Off it.
I do so for me personally, I don't know where I've got it in my head from, but for him, what I found, if it's 7 degrees or below, he has a jumper or a coat on.
Nice.
Or the snood. Depend on if it's windy. He doesn't have the chewing. He has managed chewing. So if we have a bone, he gets 5 minutes.
Yeah.
And then it's taken away, left for a couple of days, and then he can redo it. We've found chews that are chewable for him that he can have. Where he's had days where he has harder chews, we'll say. He'll get increased fatigue out to his face.
Yeah.
He also gets acupuncture in his face now. He gets massage in his face. So it's just kind of like that added stuff. But it is ultimately it's a manage. And it was told to me the operation they had was guesswork. So it was always a manage issue. So we basically manage it based on how he's feeling and that day.
Yeah.
And if we need the medication,
he has a top up of NSAIDs.
We have it.
And I think as well it's important to recognise. So when we call him a flare with his face. Now you've shown me videos of this. And as his auntie has, I find it distressing.
Horrible.
It's absolutely, it's vile, and because there's only so much you can do to support him in that moment, because it is sadly an inevitable kickback from the conditions that he has. But we've seen, so of this whole 3-year journey.
Yeah.
When was the last time they did the yelp and had to sit down?
It would have been, I think, near the time that he had his X-rays.
So about 2 years.
2 years.
2 years.
Yeah.
The locking
like a proper yelp.
He's had a couple.
He's had a couple of little yelpy bits, but I think he's probably hit his paw or something off the bed. But I've attributed it
to his back.
Yeah.
But he's not done the
not sit down.
Sitting down.
Not done sit down.
So that's been removed.
Yeah.
The frequency of the flares in his face.
Yeah.
Where would you say that's reduced over the past 3 years, or?
Yeah, I think at worst, I think we've had to get 2 bottles maybe a year.
Yeah. Of his NSAIDs.
Yeah. So I think it is very much a weather dependent thing. Whenever it gets hot and then dips.
Because he also does mini locks as well, doesn't he? So you can tell.
Call him a little judder.
Yeah, he's a little judder, bless him. But
that's where he's self-control. So he does big yawns and then he'll close and then he'll do that. So it's kind of caught and then he's undone it himself.
Yeah.
I've not had to physically help him unlock his jaw for about 2 years.
Yeah.
And that happened basically within the first months of me having him, was that his jaw was locking continuously, and all it took was me stroking his face and it would just unlatch and he'd be able to close his mouth, and we've not had to do that for a very long time now.
Touch wood. So this is just to kind of bring this episode to a close. This is something you can't have a day off from.
No.
Which is intense.
Yeah.
And something that I talk about a lot is caregiver's burden or caregiver's fatigue. And I remember having this conversation years and years and years ago. Beautiful dog. She was an amputee. and she'd had cancer. That's why she had to have the amputation and stuff like that. And I remember her dad, she used to come once a fortnight, and her dad came in, he had a face like thunder. Now anyone that comes to Yorkshire Beauty Therapies knows I'm going to ask you, why have you got a face on? What's up? What's occurring? And he went, what? And he went, she's really fucking annoying me today. I went, you know you're allowed to say that. Like, it's okay. Just because she's poorly, disabled, dealing with pain, it doesn't mean that they can't be annoying. You are allowed to say that they're getting on your tit ends, because my dogs get on my tit ends sometimes. And I think just having that very crass, open dialogue, for me, is part of Yorkshire Peaches Therapies. You're going to have your good days and you're going to have your bad days, but know that I'm going to get upset, know that I'm always here to provide, freaking hell, to provide that safe space for you to vent without judgment.
Yeah, and having a dog that's in pain it's a solo journey, but you've got a collective support system.
Yeah, that's the most important bit. You've got to build a team of people around you.
Your dog.
Yeah.
Because hip dysplasia, like you said before, or any disease that a dog might have for one dog is different to the same dog that probably has the same severity of it.
Yeah.
So you can research all you want about these diseases and conditions that these dogs have, but ultimately you're managing your dog. And obviously people like yourself who are there to help. If I was to give any advice, it would be the guilt is normal.
The guilt is completely normal, and you do the best you can with the information you have at the time, and it's fucking rough.
And it's okay to grieve the dog that you thought that you would get.
Oh, Louise. Oh my days.
I mean, if I put it into, I was like, I've wanted a Dalmatian for a long time.
She really has. She really has.
I would not change Herschel for the world.
Yeah.
If I could, obviously I would make it that he wasn't,
painful.
had these conditions. But I'll do whatever he needs, And what I remember thinking, whenever he was diagnosed, we'll never be able to go up on these hikes. We'll never be able to do these walks that I see other people doing. I've got no ligaments in my ankle, Yaz.
Yeah, I know that.
Where am I doing these?
I don't know why you're wanting to do the bloody 3 weeks. You can't bloody walk.
So you create the mind is a vicious thing. You create these shoulda, woulda, coulda. You grieve. You go through this wasn't supposed to happen. This wasn't the dog that I thought I was gonna get.
This wasn't the dog I signed up for.
I adopted Herschel knowing that he had an operation 2 weeks prior towards that. You know what I mean? So I knew that I was getting some kind of an unhinged dog.
Yeah.
The absolute case that he came was, it expanded. So ultimately, living with a dog, you are always, did he walk funny? Did he do that? Has he done? Is his poo solid? Which is a raw thing anyway, but then you've got Dalmatian who is he is his stream clear? Could he have a blockage? Has he eaten offal lately? Obviously he hasn't, but do you know what I mean? So it's a constant mind melt. You're even though you have that diagnosis and you have that plan of how to manage, you will always have that paranoia. Yeah. Because you fear progression then. Because ultimately with these conditions they are going to get worse. Yeah. And that's the sad reality of it. You can do your best to manage them, put them in the best place to slow it down. He's 8 in July.
Jesus.
And we haven't had to increase his meds. Yeah. As of yet.
And there's still
a lot.
So many options to explore.
If he dies prematurely, it will be in my hands. Because he's annoyed me.
I will kick him through a window.
I mean, yesterday
he
stole my sandwich.
That was so
literally
funny.
Off my plate whilst I was on the phone to you. I am a gal who loves food. Do not steal
There was just food. A sandwich just on the floor. I believe you called him a bastard.
I think I threw several words.
Several words at him, and he kind of like scuttled off.
Just pissed off into the living room.
And then was like poking his head around like that, and there's just sandwich.
Can I have it yet?
Can I have it? Have you stopped being a whingy nippers yet? Can I have that sandwich yet?
I've got sore back and hips. Can I have that sandwich? Yeah.
But I think with Herschel, like, and this is what I say to people, is that just to kind of circle back to, it's an interesting phrase, it's a good phrase about grieving for the dog you thought you had or the dog that you wanted.
Yeah.
For Herschel,
yeah,
he's just living each day as it comes.
I am the human that he needed.
Yeah, 100%. Because if he'd have gone into another home,
yeah,
who maybe wasn't able to recognise that there was a issue and then pain, because these kind of realisations are not overnight.
No.
It's a very kind of gradual build up.
Yeah.
Like for me with Peggy, it's been gradual. I know she's been declining. I'm like, nah. Like
you don't want it to be.
You don't
true,
want
do you
don't want them
no.
to decline. But she's approximately 10 this year. What did I expect to happen?
Yeah.
You know. So, but then I'm a mum. So it's you just constantly.
Blissful ignorance is I think as a person who has a dog who is in pain, you wish that you could be in that blissful ignorance bubble, but at the same time, you want to know for your dog. Do you know what I mean? It's just it's an absolute horrible situation.
It is.
But we manage. We struggle through.
We keep on fighting.
You know, without Herschel, I'd have never met you. So thanks hip dysplasia.
Cheers hip dysplasia, spondylosis, and zygomatic
thanks
artery
Herschel
reconstruction.
for being really, really, really painful. I love that. Thank you.
But, Louise, thank you so much for sharing yours and Herschel's story. There's obviously still a lot more to explore, and thank you for your vulnerability. Can't believe I started crying at you as well. But
really
it's just
sorry.
No, don't. Are you apologising to them?
To them,
yeah, apologise to them. Don't apologise to me. But it's I'm human as well, and I cry about cases. I was on the phone to Charlotte crying about a case the other day because I was like, whoa! Because I have such profound love and such deep empathy for these dogs and getting it right and being that translator to help pet parents understand what's happening with their dog a little bit better. So then ultimately we can improve what their pain management looks like. But with my little Herschel Burschel, my little farty boy, his farts are absolutely rancid beyond belief. On the Can't Lear video he dropped in a horrific fart. He always drops horrific farts. But thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate it. So, if you have enjoyed this episode of the podcast, it's a different kind of episode, but I think it's really important, and I think I'm going to do more of these because I find it really interesting to hear from kind of like your perspective. So if you have enjoyed this episode, maybe you've learned something from it, or maybe you think it might resonate with a friend, please make sure to like, share and subscribe. Make sure you follow Herschel on Instagram at Herschel and Friends.
Yeah.
Herschel and Friends on Instagram, and you can see just beautiful pictures of that beautiful spotty boy. But for now, lots of love to you and your dogs, and I'll speak to you soon. Take care. Bye.